The rain hammered against the plate-glass windows of Lumiere, Manhattan's most exclusive restaurant, where a single meal cost more than Amelia's monthly rent. She balanced 3 plates on her left arm, moving through the dining room with practiced grace, despite 14 hours on her feet. Her body screamed for rest, but she couldn't afford to show weakness. Not here, where men in $1,000 suits watched her like she was part of the decor, present but insignificant. Near the entrance, a commotion stirred. A man stumbled through the doors, water streaming from his black coat. Even drenched, he commanded attention, sharp features, dark hair slicked back, an aura of danger that made other patrons instinctively lean away. His hand clutched his chest. 2 steps into the restaurant, his knees buckled. The sound of his body hitting the marble floor echoed through suddenly silent conversations. Amelia's heart lurched. Around her, people froze, forks suspended mid-air, conversations dying. The man gasped, his face contorting in pain, but not a single person moved to help. They looked away. They pretended not to see. Amelia's plates clattered onto the nearest table. Her feet were already moving. Amelia dropped to her knees beside the fallen man, her server's apron pooling on the wet marble. Up close, she could see the pallor of his skin, the sheen of sweat mixing with rain on his forehead. His eyes, dark and intense even through the haze of pain, fixed on her face with an expression between shock and something else she couldn't name. "Sir, can you hear me?" Her hands moved automatically, checking his pulse. Rapid but steady. "Someone call 911. The silence that followed her command was deafening. 30 people in designer clothes, and not one reached for a phone. She looked up, meeting the eyes of a woman in pearls who immediately looked away, whispering something to her companion. "Are you serious right now?" Amelia's voice cracked with disbelief. She fumbled for her own phone, the screen cracked from when Liam had dropped it last week, and dialed with shaking fingers. The man's hand suddenly gripped her wrist. His touch was firm despite his obvious pain, and when their eyes met, she saw something that made her breath catch. Not fear, recognition maybe, or gratitude so profound, it bordered on desperation. "Don't," he managed, his accent softening the word. Korean, she realized. "No hospital. You're having a heart attack or—" "Not heart." His grip tightened. "Poisoned." The word sent ice through her veins. Around them she heard the shuffle of feet, the whisper of expensive fabric. People were leaving. Actually leaving rather than help or even witness whatever this was. "Then you definitely need a hospital." Amelia tried to pull her wrist free, but he held on. "They'll find me there." His breathing was labored, each word an effort. "Please." Carter's voice cut through the moment like a blade. "Amelia, what the hell do you think you're doing?" She looked up at her manager, his face red with anger and something else. Fear, she realized. He was afraid of this man, even collapsed and vulnerable on the floor. "He needs help, Carter. He's been—" "Get up now!" Carter's tone left no room for argument. "This isn't your concern. I'm not leaving him." The words came out before Amelia could stop them. She'd been raised better than this, to help when others wouldn't, to be the hands and feet of compassion her grandmother had always embodied. 8-year-old Liam's face flashed in her mind, the way he'd asked her last night why people were mean to them sometimes. "Because we're different, baby," she told him, "but that means we have to be better." "Then you're fired." Carter's words were crisp, final. The man's eyes widened slightly. Even through his pain, she saw him process what she'd just sacrificed. For him, a stranger. Fine. Amelia's hands didn't stop moving, checking his pupils, feeling for injuries. Her nursing school training from 5 years ago, cut short when her ex left and the money ran out, kicked in automatically. "But I'm not moving until help gets here." The man's hand moved to his jacket, extracting a phone with visible effort. He pressed a single number and brought it to his ear, never breaking eye contact with Amelia. "Seok Jin," he breathed into the phone. "Lumiere. Now." A pause. "No hospital. Bring the doctor to—" He looked at Amelia, a question in his eyes. "I don't have anywhere. I live in a studio with my son. Your address." She shouldn't. Every instinct screamed this was wrong, dangerous, insane. But those same instincts had told her to help when no one else would. 643 Amsterdam Avenue, apartment 4B. His lips curved into something that might have been a smile if it wasn't edged with pain. 4B, he repeated into the phone. Then to her, "What's your name?" "Amelia." "Amelia." He said it like he was tasting wine, testing the syllables. "I'm Ji-ho." "Nice to meet you, Ji-ho. Now please stop talking and save your strength." This time his smile was unmistakable, though it faded quickly as another wave of pain hit. His hand in hers spasmed, and she squeezed back instinctively. "You're going to be okay," she told him, using the same voice she used when Liam had nightmares. Firm, certain, even if she felt neither. "Yes," Jiho agreed, his eyes never leaving her face. "I am." Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. At the same moment, a black Mercedes SUV screeched to a stop outside. 3 men emerged, moving with military precision. The one in front, tall, sharp-featured, with eyes that catalogued everything in seconds, swept into the restaurant. He dropped to Jiho's other side, his eyes widening at the sight of his boss on the floor with a black waitress holding his hand. "Sir, she saved my life," Jiho said simply. No one else moved. He said it loud enough that everyone remaining in the restaurant could hear. A statement, a fact that would be remembered. Only her. Respect flickered across the man's features as he looked at Amelia. "Miss, we need to get him somewhere safe. We have a doctor waiting. He needs a hospital." "This is insane. This is necessary," Jiho corrected. He sat up with help, and Amelia's hands fluttered, unsure whether to support him or push him back down. "Amelia, trust me. Please." She shouldn't. She absolutely shouldn't. But when he looked at her like that, like she was the only solid thing in a world that had just tried to kill him, she found herself nodding. "Okay, but I'm coming with you." "No," Seokjin started. "Yes," Jiho overruled. "She comes. She stays. Until I say otherwise." Carter materialized beside them. "Sir, I do apologize for this disruption. If there's anything Lumiere can do—" "You can give Amelia her job back," Jiho said, his voice gaining strength. "With a raise. Double what she was making." "Of course, absolutely." "I quit," Amelia interrupted. Both men looked at her in surprise. She pulled her hand free from Jiho's, yanked off her apron, and threw it at Carter's chest. "I don't work for people who watch someone die rather than risk their precious ambience." Jiho's laugh was unexpected, rough and genuine. "Then you work for me now. I don't even know what you do." "Import-export," he said smoothly. Too smoothly. "Very boring. But I pay well, and I'm alive because of you. That creates obligations." The way he said the last word made her shiver. This wasn't a debt. This was something else. "I have a son," she said, lifting her chin. 8 years old. Whatever this is, he stays out of it. Jiho's expression softened in a way that transformed his face. "Of course, children are sacred. I would never—" He swayed, and Seokjin grabbed him more firmly. "We need to move," Seokjin said urgently. "Now." "My apartment is 20 minutes from here," Amelia said, making a decision she knew she'd probably regret. "Liam is at my friend Charlotte's place until 10. If you need somewhere no one knows about—" Jiho smiled at her, and it was like the sun breaking through storm clouds. "Amelia," he said softly, "you keep surprising me." She followed Jiho into the vehicle, sliding into the leather seat beside him. He leaned back, his eyes closing, but his hand found hers again in the darkness. "Thank you," he murmured, "for not walking away." Amelia looked at their joined hands, her brown skin against his pale, her calloused fingers against his manicured ones. "I'm probably going to regret this." "Probably," he agreed. His thumb traced a circle on her wrist. "But not tonight. Tonight you saved a life. That counts for something." The SUV pulled away from Lumiere, and Amelia watched her old life shrink in the side mirror. Whatever came next, she'd already crossed a line. Jiho's hand tightened on hers and she squeezed back. For now, that was answer enough. Amelia's studio apartment had never felt smaller than when 4 large Korean men attempted to navigate its 40 square feet of free space. Seokjin directed the operation with military efficiency, positioning guards while a 5th man, introduced simply as the doctor, unpacked a sophisticated medical bag. Jiho sat on her worn Goodwill couch and looked completely out of place, like placing a Rembrandt in a dollar store frame. "This is where you live?" he asked, not with judgment but genuine curiosity. His eyes catalogued everything: the hot plate that served as her kitchen, the folding screen separating Liam's sleeping area from hers, the walls covered with her son's artwork, the stack of medical textbooks she'd never had the heart to sell. "I know it's not much. It's honest," Jiho interrupted. He touched one of Liam's drawings, a crayon rendering of 2 stick figures. "You make it a home. That's more than most achieve with 10,000 square feet. The doctor knelt before Jiho, already rolling up his sleeve. "Sir, I need to run a full panel. If it's what I think—" "Aconite," Jiho said calmly. "In the wine at the office. I tasted it too late." Amelia's stomach dropped. Aconite? That's extremely toxic. You should be dead, or at least— Both men looked at her. The doctor's eyebrows rose. You have medical training? 2 years of nursing school before— She waved a hand encompassing all the reasons dreams got deferred. Before life happened. But I remember aconite. Monkshood. Affects the heart, can cause irregular heartbeat, numbness, weakness. Jiho looked at her with something like respect. You knew what you were looking at when I collapsed. I knew you needed help. Amelia watched the doctor work. Who poisoned someone in the middle of Manhattan? Someone who wanted me dead, Jiho said simply. Someone who failed. The casual way he discussed his own attempted murder made her head spin. I need to call Charlotte. Tell her I'll be late picking up Liam. No. Seok-jin's voice was sharp. No calls. They could be monitoring. My friend is watching my 8-year-old child, Amelia snapped, standing. I'm calling her. You can listen in if you're that paranoid, but I'm not leaving her worried. Jiho raised a hand, silencing Seok-jin. Of course. Use my phone. It's secure. He offered her a sleek device. Tell her you'll pick him up tomorrow morning, that you had to work a late shift. I don't lie to Charlotte. Then tell her the truth, Jiho challenged. Tell her you brought home a poisoned stranger and 4 armed men. See how that conversation goes. Amelia glared at him, snatched the phone and turned away. Charlotte answered on the second ring. Char, it's me, using a borrowed phone. Mimi! Girl, what happened? I heard you quit Lumiere? Despite everything, Amelia smiled. I did, actually. It's a long story. Can Liam stay over tonight? I'll get him first thing tomorrow. A pause. Charlotte knew her too well. Mimi, what's going on? You sound weird. Just tired. Long day. Please, Char. You know he can stay as long as you need, but you better come over for coffee tomorrow and spill everything. After she hung up, Jiho was watching her with that intense focus that made her feel simultaneously exposed and seen. You love him very much. Your son. More than anything in this world. Then I owe you double, Jiho said softly. You left him to help a stranger. That's not a small sacrifice. The doctor interrupted. Sir, the levels are dangerous but manageable. If you'd consumed more, or if your heart wasn't as strong— He didn't finish. I'm starting chelation therapy now. You'll need to remain still for the next several hours. Hours? Jiho's jaw tightened. You have nothing more important than staying alive, Seok-jin cut in, his tone holding a note of pleading. Sir, please. Something passed between the 2 men, a history, a bond deeper than Amelia had initially understood. These weren't just employee and employer. They were brothers in all but blood. Fine, Jiho conceded. He looked at Amelia. But I want updates every hour. The doctor set up an IV drip, hanging the bag from her curtain rod. Seok-jin pulled Amelia aside while Jiho received treatment. Miss Amelia, he began, I need you to understand the situation you've entered. I'm getting that impression. My employer is a businessman, but his business has complications. People who would see him harmed. People who won't hesitate to eliminate anyone they perceive as a threat or a weakness. And you're telling me this why? To scare me off? Seok-jin's expression softened fractionally. To protect you. What you did tonight, helping him when others wouldn't, it creates a debt. In our world, debts are sacred, but they're also dangerous. Amelia crossed her arms. What exactly does Jiho do? Import-export, as he said. And I'm the Queen of England. A ghost of a smile touched Seok-jin's lips. He owns legitimate businesses, restaurants, shipping companies, real estate. But the world he operates in, it has its own rules, its own justice system. The Mafia, Amelia said flatly. He's in the Korean Mafia. Seok-jin didn't confirm or deny, which was confirmation enough. I'm telling you this so you can make an informed choice. Walk away now, and you'll be compensated generously. Stay, and your life becomes complicated in ways you can't imagine. Amelia looked over at Jiho. Even receiving medical treatment, he radiated authority. But there was something else now. A vulnerability he'd shown her when he'd gripped her wrist and said, please. What happens if I walk away and whoever poisoned him finds out I helped? Seok-jin's silence was damning. That's what I thought. Amelia straightened her shoulders. So my choices are, accept his protection and complications, or refuse it and hope his enemies don't decide I know too much. Not much of a choice. There's a third option. We relocate you. New city, new identity, new life. You and your son, completely protected and provided for. It was tempting, but it would mean leaving Charlotte, leaving the life she'd built, leaving the city where her grandmother was buried. No, she heard herself say. I'm not running. I didn't do anything wrong. I helped someone. If that makes me a target, then I guess I need better protection than running can provide. Respect flickered across his features. You're either very brave or very foolish. Why not both? This time his smile was genuine. Jiho said you kept surprising him. I see what he means. The doctor finished and stood. The initial treatment is administered. He needs rest, minimal stress and monitoring. I'll return in 6 hours. He can't stay here, Amelia protested. I don't have room, and Liam comes home tomorrow. I'm not leaving. Jiho's voice cut through the discussion. Not until we know who ordered this and whether they'll try again. So what? You're just going to camp out in my studio apartment? I've slept in worse places. He settled back against her couch cushions. And I meant what I said. You work for me now. Consider this your first assignment. Keep me alive until morning. That's the doctor's job. The doctor keeps my body functioning. You... Jiho's eyes held hers. You keep me human. There's a difference. The words landed in her chest like stones in still water. She wanted to argue, to protest, to maintain boundaries. But looking at him, at this dangerous, powerful man who'd been left to die, she found those boundaries already blurring. Fine, she said, but I'm sleeping behind the screen, and if anyone tries to stand guard inside this apartment all night, I'm kicking everyone out. Jiho glanced at Seok-jin. Outside, he told his second-in-command. You and one other. Sir, I should stay. Seok-jin. Jiho's tone gentled. I trust her. You should too. The weight of that trust, given so quickly, so completely, made Amelia's breath catch. She'd known this man for less than 2 hours, and yet he was willing to be vulnerable in her presence. Seok-jin clearly disagreed, but knew better than to argue. He bowed slightly and gathered the other guards. Within minutes, her apartment was empty except for her and Jiho. The silence felt enormous. You should sleep, Jiho said. You worked 14 hours before all this. How did you... I was conscious when you told Carter you'd been on a double shift. He shifted slightly, wincing. I notice things, especially about people who interest me. I interest you? Profoundly. He said it like a simple fact. You're not afraid of me. Should I be? Most people are. Amelia grabbed her spare blanket and sat in her chair, wrapping it around herself. I spent 3 years in shelters after my ex emptied our bank account and disappeared. I've been followed home by drunk men. I've held my son while he cried about kids at school calling him names I won't repeat. I've learned that fear is useful when it protects you, but useless when it just makes you small. She met his eyes. You're dangerous. I'm not stupid, but you're also hurt and alone in a stranger's apartment. So right now, I'm not afraid. Jiho stared at her for a long moment. Then he laughed, really laughed, the sound rich and genuine. Amelia, I think you might be the most dangerous person I've ever met. Because I'm not impressed by your scary reputation? Because you make me want to be worthy of your good opinion. His smile faded into something more serious. That's new, and terrifying in its own way. Outside, rain still fell, softer now. Inside, the IV dripped steadily. Amelia watched Jiho's eyes grow heavy, the medication and exhaustion finally pulling him under. Just before sleep claimed him, he murmured, You saved my life tonight. I won't forget that. I'll spend every day proving I was worth saving. Then he was out, breathing evening into sleep. Amelia sat in her chair, blanket pulled tight, and wondered what she'd really brought into her home. She should be terrified. Instead, she felt awake in a way she hadn't in years. Tomorrow she'd pick up Liam. Tomorrow she'd face Charlotte's questions. Tomorrow she'd figure out what it meant to work for a man like Jiho. Tonight, she'd keep watch. She'd make sure he kept breathing. It was the least she could do for someone who looked at her like she'd hung the stars, even if those stars were about to burn her world down. Amelia woke to the smell of coffee and the sound of someone moving quietly in her kitchen. For a disorienting moment, she couldn't remember falling asleep. Then she saw Jiho, IV removed, standing at her hot plate making coffee with the instant grounds she bought at the bodega. You should be resting, she said, her voice rough with sleep. He turned, and she caught her breath. In the morning light, Jiho looked different. Still dangerous, still otherworldly beautiful, but softer somehow. His hair was slightly mussed, his shirt wrinkled, his feet bare on her worn linoleum. The doctor came an hour ago, gave me the all clear. He poured coffee into her only 2 mugs. One said world's best mom, the other advertised a plumbing company. He offered her the mom mug. You were sleeping. I didn't want to wake you. Amelia accepted the coffee, their fingers brushing. The contact sent electricity up her arm. An hour ago, how long was I out? 4 hours, it's 7 a.m. Jiho settled back onto the couch. Seokjin identified the source of the poison. One of my business partners. Former business partner now. The casual way he said it made her stomach clench. What does that mean, former? It means he's been handled. Jiho's eyes met hers. You don't need to know more than that. I meant what I said about keeping your world separate. Except my world and yours are currently sharing instant coffee in a studio apartment, so that ship might have sailed. A smile tugged at his lips. Fair point. He set down his mug, leaning forward. Amelia, I need to make something clear. Last night I said you work for me now, I meant it, but I want you to understand what that actually means. Enlighten me. It means you're under my protection. Anyone who threatens you threatens me. It means you'll be paid well, very well, for legitimate work. I own a restaurant group. You could manage any of them, or, he gestured at her medical textbooks, I could send you back to school. Nursing if that's what you want. Whatever you choose. Amelia's grip tightened on her mug. Why? You don't owe me this much. You knelt in a puddle of rainwater to save a stranger while everyone else walked away. You brought me into your home, put yourself at risk, trusted me near the place where your child sleeps. Jiho's voice dropped lower. You have no idea how rare that is, how precious. People spend their whole lives surrounded by others and never once experience genuine kindness without calculation. I didn't calculate anything. I just reacted. Exactly. He stood crossing the small space. Up close she could see the faint dark circles under his eyes, the slight tremor in his hands. You didn't weigh costs or benefits. You just saw someone in pain and helped. That's so far outside my normal experience that I'm still processing it. Amelia set down her coffee and stood too. Jiho, I appreciate the offer. Really, but I can't just accept charity. Would they, though? His question was sharp. 30 people watched me collapse. Only you moved. That's not decency. That's courage, and I reward courage. With what? Money? Protection? Those things come with strings. Yes, he agreed simply. The string is loyalty. I protect what's mine, and in return I expect the same. But I don't own you, Amelia. I'm offering you a choice. Work for me legitimately, let me fund your education, or walk away right now with enough money to start over. Either way, you're protected. It was too much, too fast. I need to think about it. Of course. Jiho stepped back. But while you're thinking, I have a question. What? When you look at me, what do you see? The question caught her off guard. She studied him, really studied him. The expensive clothes rumpled from a night on her couch, the way he'd made her coffee without being asked, the vulnerability he'd shown last night. I see someone who's used to being feared, she said slowly. Someone powerful who's probably done terrible things. But I also see someone who thanked me for not walking away. Someone who looked at my son's drawings like they mattered. Someone who's lonely, maybe. Despite all that power, Jiho's expression shifted through several emotions too quickly to name. You see too much, he finally said. Is that a problem? It should be. He moved toward the window. My world doesn't allow for people who see too much. It's dangerous to be perceptive around dangerous men. Then why did you ask? He turned back, and the look in his eyes made her breath catch. Because I wanted to know if you saw a monster, if you'd convinced yourself that helping me was a mistake. Have you given me reason to think that? Not yet. The yet hung in the air, honest and ominous. But I'm not a good man, Amelia. I've done things that would horrify you. I operate in a world where violence is currency and mercy is weakness. I understand that. Do you? Jiho crossed back to her, close enough that she had to tilt her head to maintain eye contact. Because once you're in my world, even peripherally, you can't unsee it. You can't unhear the things you'll learn. Amelia's heart hammered. She should step back. Instead, she lifted her chin. I grew up in poverty, Jiho. I've seen plenty of darkness. My ex beat me so badly. I miscarried our second child, then emptied our accounts and disappeared. I lived in a shelter where I watched women get turned away because there wasn't enough room. I've seen plenty of cruelty dressed up as civility. She held his gaze. You're honest about what you are. That actually makes you less frightening. Something ignited in Jiho's eyes. Respect, desire, and something that looked dangerously like hope. You're extraordinary, he breathed. I'm practical and broke, and trying to figure out if accepting your help makes me smart or stupid. Smart, he said immediately. Let me help, Amelia. Let me give you the resources to build the life you deserve. You want to finish nursing school? Done. You want Liam in private school? Done. You want a bigger apartment in a safer neighborhood? Done. Stop. Amelia held up a hand. This is too much. We met 12 hours ago. I've made life-changing decisions in 12 seconds, Ji-ho countered. This one took significantly longer and feels significantly more important. Why? The question burst out. Why do I matter so much to you? Ji-ho was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was raw. My mother died when I was 16. Heart attack in a subway station. Dozens of people around her, and not one helped. They stepped over her like she was trash. By the time someone finally called for help, it was too late. His hands clenched. I joined the family business 3 months later, but really I was just angry. At a world where people let each other die rather than inconvenience themselves. Amelia's throat tightened. Ji-ho. Then last night, I collapsed in that restaurant, and I saw it happening again. People looking away, and I thought, this is karma for all the things I've done. He met her eyes and she saw tears threatening. Then you knelt beside me. You lost your job for me. You brought me into your home near your child. You gave me what no one gave my mother. A chance. A tear slipped down his cheek, and without thinking, Amelia reached up to catch it with her thumb. Ji-ho's hand covered hers, holding it against his face. I don't need you to fix the past, he whispered, but let me build you a better future. Please, it's the only way I know to say thank you. Amelia's defenses crumbled. This wasn't about charity. This was about two broken people finding unexpected connection. Okay, she heard herself say, but on my terms. Ji-ho's smile was like sunrise. Name them. I go back to school, but I work while I do it. I don't take handouts, I earn what I get. Agreed. Liam comes first, always. If your world ever threatens him, I would die before I let anything happen to your son, Ji-ho interrupted, fierce certainty in his voice. Children are sacred, Amelia, especially yours. And we take this slow. Whatever this is between us, she gestured, we figure it out without rushing. We have time. Ji-ho's thumb traced her jawline. All the time you need. A knock at the door made them both jump. Seok-jin's voice came through. Sir, we need to move you. It's not safe to stay in one location too long. Ji-ho let his hand drop, stepping back. I need to go, but I'm leaving 2 guards outside, just until we're certain the threat is neutralized. I have to pick up Liam soon. What do I tell him about guards? Tell him the truth, that you helped someone, and that someone is grateful and protective. Kids understand loyalty. Ji-ho pulled out his phone, typing quickly. I'm sending you contact information and transferring funds to cover the next 6 months' rent and expenses while you transition. Ji-ho, that's non-negotiable. He pulled on his shoes. I'll be in touch tomorrow. We'll discuss positions at the restaurant group, school enrollment, everything. But today, you rest. Spend time with Liam. He moved toward the door, then turned back. In 3 strides, he was in front of her again, his hands framing her face. Thank you, he said simply, for seeing past the monster to the man. Then he kissed her forehead, a gesture so gentle it made her heart ache, and was gone. Amelia stood alone in her apartment, touching the spot where his lips had pressed. Her phone buzzed with incoming notifications, contact information, bank transfer confirmations, enough money to make her dizzy. She should be terrified. Instead, she felt alive, awake, like she'd been sleepwalking through life, and Ji-ho's intensity had shocked her back into vivid reality. Her phone rang. Charlotte's name flashed. Hey, Char. Okay, Mimi, you've got 5 minutes before Liam wakes up. Explain to me why there are 2 very large, very serious Korean men standing outside your building. Amelia sank into her chair and started talking. Because if she was going to navigate this new reality, she'd need her best friend's counsel. This was either the best decision she'd ever made or the worst. Time would tell which. But looking at the sunrise painting her shabby apartment in gold, feeling Ji-ho's kiss still warm on her forehead, Amelia couldn't bring herself to regret it. Not yet. Maybe not ever. 3 weeks later, Amelia stood in front of Sinclair Academy, watching Liam's eyes widen at the pristine brick building with its manicured lawn and children in uniforms. Mum, are you sure? His small hand clutched hers tightly. This place looks so expensive. It's already paid for, baby. She knelt to his level, straightening his new tie. Mr. Choi arranged everything. Is Mr. Choi your boyfriend? The question caught her off guard. Ji-ho had visited their new apartment twice, a spacious 2-bedroom in a building with actual security, bringing groceries and sitting at their table like it was natural. He'd listened to Liam explain Minecraft with genuine interest, helped with math homework, Never once treated her son like an inconvenience. No, honey, he's a friend, a good friend who wants to help us. Because you saved his life. Because I helped him when he needed it, yes. Liam considered this with 8-year-old solemnity. Grandma used to say helping people was like planting seeds. Sometimes they grow into good things. Amelia's throat tightened. Grandma was a smart lady. Do you trust him, Mr. Choi? I do, she said honestly. I know it's all happening fast, but yes, I trust him. Liam nodded, then surprised her by hugging her tight. Then I trust your trust, he whispered. After dropping Liam off, her phone buzzed. Ji-ho. How did drop-off go? Amelia. He's nervous but excited. Thank you again for this. Ji-ho. Stop thanking me. It's insulting at this point. Dinner tonight? I have a proposition. Her stomach flipped. Their slow had included several dinners, one museum trip with Liam, and approximately 1,000 text messages, but they hadn't defined what they were doing. Amelia. What kind of proposition? Ji-ho. The kind best discussed over good wine and better food. 7 p.m. I'll send a car. She should say no. Instead, fine. But somewhere normal, not one of your fancy places. Ji-ho. I'll find somewhere perfect. The car picked her up at 6:45. A regular sedan driven by a woman who introduced herself as Min Seo. Mr. Choi wanted you to feel safe, she explained. They pulled up to a small Korean restaurant in Koreatown. Nothing fancy, but clearly authentic. Ji-ho waited outside, dressed in dark jeans and a simple sweater. You look beautiful, he said as she approached. You look different, more casual. I can't always be the scary mafia boss, he said with a slight smile. Sometimes I'm just a man having dinner with a woman who fascinates him. Inside, the restaurant was warm and noisy with families. Ji-ho led her to a back booth, speaking rapid Korean to the owner, who smiled and promised something would be extra special. Over the next 2 hours, Amelia experienced Korean cuisine like never before. Ji-ho explained each dish, teaching her how to wrap sam, sharing banchan, laughing when she struggled with chopsticks. He told stories about his childhood, about his mother teaching him recipes, about the grandmother who'd raised him. She wanted me to be a doctor, he said quietly, pouring them both soju. She'd be so disappointed in what I became. Would she? Amelia challenged. You protect your community. You provide for people. You've given me and Liam a chance at a better life. Maybe the method is different than she'd have chosen, but the heart is the same. Ji-ho stared at her. How do you do that? Do what? Make me feel like I'm not completely beyond redemption. Because you're not. She squeezed his hand. You're just a person, Ji-ho. Complicated and flawed, but still capable of good. The moment stretched between them. Before she could say more, his phone buzzed insistently. Ji-ho glanced at it and went pale. I have to take this. He stood, pressing the phone to his ear, and moved toward the entrance. Through the window, Amelia watched his body language shift, shoulders tensing, hand clenching. He returned 2 minutes later, his expression grim. We need to go. Now. What's wrong? Sang-woo. A rival I told you about, he knows about you. Ji-ho threw cash on the table. He's making moves, sending messages. It's not safe. Fear spiked through her. Liam is protected. I have 3 guards at Charlotte's place where he's sleeping tonight. But you... Ji-ho's jaw worked. I underestimated how quickly he would escalate. I'm sorry. Outside, the sedan was already waiting. They climbed in, and the car pulled into traffic. What does he want? Amelia asked. To hurt me by taking what I care about. Ji-ho's hand found hers. He found out about the poison, about you helping me. In his mind, you're leverage, a weakness he can exploit. I'm not weak. I know that. But he doesn't care about truth. He cares about power. Ji-ho's phone buzzed again. He read the message and cursed in Korean. He's outside your building, making a point. What kind of point? Ji-ho's silence was answer enough. Amelia's new apartment, the safe haven he'd provided, was compromised. Take me there, she said firmly. Absolutely not. Ji-ho. She turned to face him. If this man is threatening me because of you, I deserve to look him in the eye, to understand what I'm up against. You have no idea what he's capable of. Then tell me. Stop protecting me from the truth. If I'm in danger, I need to know exactly what that means. Ji-ho studied her face, then spoke to Min Seo in Korean. The car changed direction. Fine, but you stay in the car, you observe only. And if I tell you to leave, you leave, understood? Understood. 20 minutes later, they pulled up across from Amelia's building. 3 black cars idled at the curb, and a man stood on the sidewalk, early 40s, expensive suit surrounded by guards. Even from a distance, menace radiated from him. "That's Sang-woo," Ji-ho confirmed. "He's waiting for me. This is theater. A public challenge he knows I can't ignore. What happens if you do ignore it? He escalates, finds Liam's school, finds Charlotte, finds every person you care about and makes them targets until I respond." Ji-ho's voice was tight with controlled rage. "This is how men like him operate. They find what you love and they destroy it." Amelia watched Sang-woo check his watch, smile, look up at her apartment window like he owned it. Fury burned through her fear. "You can't let him do this," she said. "You can't let him think he can threaten people just to get to you." "I won't." Ji-ho reached for the door handle. "Stay here. No matter what you see, stay in this car." "Ji-ho." He kissed her then, hard and desperate and full of everything they'd been dancing around for 3 weeks. When he pulled back, his eyes were blazing. "I need you safe, Amelia. I can handle Sang-woo, but only if I know you're protected." Then he was out of the car, crossing the street with Seok-jin and 2 guards materializing from nearby vehicles. Amelia watched the confrontation unfold. Ji-ho's controlled approach, Sang-woo's mocking gesture, the circle of dangerous men facing off on a Manhattan sidewalk. They spoke for less than a minute. Then Sang-woo laughed, said something that made Ji-ho's whole body go rigid, and gestured at Amelia's building again. Ji-ho moved so fast, Amelia almost missed it. One moment he was listening. The next, his hand was at Sang-woo's throat, slamming the older man against his own car. Guards on both sides reached for weapons, but Seok-jin's sharp command froze them. Amelia couldn't hear what Ji-ho said, but she saw Sang-woo's smile disappear. Saw fear flicker across his face, saw him nod once, then again more emphatically. Ji-ho released him and stepped back. Sang-woo straightened his jacket, said something to his men, and they all climbed into their vehicles and drove away. When Ji-ho returned to the sedan, his hands were shaking. He sat beside Amelia and just breathed for a long moment. "What did you say to him?" she asked quietly. "I told him that if he ever looked at your building again, if he ever thought your name, if he ever came within a mile of you or Liam, I would burn his entire organization to the ground." Ji-ho's voice was hollow. "I told him you were untouchable, that hurting you would be the last thing he ever did. Did he believe you? He knows I don't bluff." Ji-ho finally looked at her. "But this isn't over, Amelia. He'll back off for now, but men like Sang-woo don't forget slights. I've made you a target just by caring about you. Then we deal with it together." Amelia took his shaking hands in hers. "You said I work for you now. That means I'm part of your world. You don't get to protect me from reality anymore. I can't lose you." The confession came out raw. "Not when I just found you. Not when you're the first person in a decade who makes me want to be better. You won't lose me." Amelia pressed her forehead to his. "But you need to trust me to handle the truth. All of it." Ji-ho pulled back to study her face. "You have no idea what you're asking. Then show me. Take me into your world properly. Let me decide if I can handle it. And if you can't, then at least I'll have made an informed choice." Amelia's voice steadied. "But I think you underestimate me, Ji-ho. I survived poverty and abuse and homelessness. I've been tested by life. Your world might be dangerous, but I'm not fragile." Something shifted in Ji-ho's expression. Respect mixing with desire, fear mixing with hope. "Okay," he said finally. "Tomorrow night. I'll show you exactly what you're getting into. The business, all of it. And then you can decide if I'm worth the risk." "You're already worth the risk," Amelia said softly, "but I need to understand what I'm risking." He kissed her again, gentler this time, but no less intense. "Tomorrow," he promised against her lips. "No more secrets, just truth." As Min-seo drove them away toward a hotel Ji-ho had already arranged, Amelia looked back at the building where Sang-woo had stood. This was her life now, danger and protection intertwined. She should be terrified. Instead, she felt certain. She'd chosen this path when she'd knelt beside a dying stranger. Now she'd see it through. Ji-ho's hand stayed locked with hers the entire drive, like he was afraid she'd disappear if he let go. She squeezed back, promising without words, "I'm not going anywhere." Tomorrow would bring revelations. Tonight, they had each other. For now, that was enough. The restaurant looked ordinary from the outside. Just another upscale Korean BBQ place in Koreatown. But when Ji-ho led Amelia through the kitchen to a private elevator, she knew she was about to see the truth behind the facade. "Last chance to turn back," he said, his finger hovering over the button. "Once you see this, you can't unsee it." "I'm sure." The elevator descended. When the doors opened, Amelia stepped into a command center, screens displaying security feeds from dozens of locations, people working at computers, a large conference table dominating the center. Seok-jin stood as they entered, nodding respectfully. "Everything's ready, sir." Ji-ho guided Amelia to the table, where several folders lay arranged. "This is the heart of my operation. From here, we monitor shipments, track competitors, coordinate security." "Shipments of what?" Amelia asked. "Legally, electronics, clothing, food imports." Ji-ho opened the first folder, showing legitimate manifests. "But some containers have secondary cargo. High-end counterfeits, grey market pharmaceuticals, untaxed luxury goods. Nothing that directly harms anyone, but definitely illegal." Amelia studied the documents, her nursing training helping her understand the pharmaceutical lists. "These aren't dangerous drugs. These are medications people can't afford legally." "Exactly. Insulin, heart medication, cancer treatments. All FDA approved, all safe, just obtained and distributed outside the normal system." Ji-ho watched her reaction. "I'm not a saint, Amelia. I profit from this. But I also make sure my community has access to life-saving medication they couldn't otherwise afford." "Robin Hood with a criminal enterprise," she murmured. Robin Hood still stole. Ji-ho opened another folder. "This is the protection side. Businesses in Koreatown pay me monthly fees. In exchange, I guarantee their safety, mediate disputes, provide security. It's extortion by another name, but every owner I protect knows they can call me at 3 a.m. if there's trouble. And if they don't pay, then they're vulnerable to people far worse than me." His honesty was brutal. "I don't hurt shopkeepers who refuse. I just can't protect them. And in this neighborhood, lack of protection means someone else moves in. Someone who won't be as reasonable." Amelia moved to the screens, watching security feeds. In one, she saw Ji-ho's men breaking up a fight. In another, they were delivering boxes to what looked like a community center. "That's our food distribution," Ji-ho explained. "Restaurants in my network donate excess food. We distribute it to shelters and families. Completely off the books. No glory. Just helping." "Why?" She turned to face him. "Why do this if it's not about reputation?" "Because my mother went hungry sometimes," he said simply. "Because I remember what it felt like to be poor and powerless. Because power without purpose is just violence." He touched her face gently. "I'm not claiming nobility. I do terrible things to maintain this empire. I've hurt people who threatened what's mine, but I try to balance the scales where I can." Seok-jin cleared his throat. "Sir, there's something you should show her." Ji-ho tensed. "I don't think—" "She asked for the whole truth," Seok-jin said firmly. After a long moment, Ji-ho nodded. He led Amelia to a secure room off the main area. Inside, a man sat zip-tied to a chair, bruised but conscious. Amelia's stomach dropped. "Who is this?" "One of Sang-woo's men," Ji-ho said quietly. "He was watching Liam's school this morning." Ice flooded Amelia's veins. "What?" "He never got close. My guards intercepted him 2 blocks away, but the intention was clear." Ji-ho's voice was cold. "This man was sent to surveil your son to gather information." The man spat something in Korean. Ji-ho's expression darkened, and he responded sharply, an exchange that made the prisoner pale. "What did he say?" Amelia demanded. "Nothing important. Don't lie to me now. What did he say?" Ji-ho's jaw worked. "He said Sang-woo knows you're my weakness, that your son is leverage." Rage unlike anything Amelia had ever felt exploded in her chest. She stepped up to the prisoner, ignoring Ji-ho's protest, and stared the man down. "You listen to me," she said, her voice deadly calm. "My son is 8 years old. He likes robots and dinosaurs. He has nothing to do with your boss's problems with Ji-ho. If you or anyone you work with goes near him, looks at him, even thinks his name—" She leaned closer. "I will find you, not Ji-ho, me, and I will make you regret the day you decided a child was an acceptable target." The man's eyes widened. He understood her tone, her fury, her absolute certainty. "Amelia?" Ji-ho started. "What happens to him now?" she asked, not taking her eyes off the prisoner. "We'll get information about Sang-woo's plans, then he'll be released with a message. Stay away from what's mine, or face consequences. You won't hurt him more than necessary." "No, I'm not a sadist. Violence is a tool, not a pleasure." She finally stepped back, her hands shaking. Ji-ho guided her out of the room. Once the door closed, she collapsed into a chair. "That's your world," Ji-ho said softly. "Threats and counter-threats, prisoners and messages. Still sure you want in?" Amelia looked up at him, this complicated, dangerous, deeply flawed man who'd shown her mercy and cruelty in equal measure. I have a condition, she said. Name it. I want Sang-woo handled, permanently. Jiho's eyes widened. Amelia, not killed, she clarified quickly, but neutralized. I don't care how. Make a deal, apply pressure, whatever you do, but I won't live in fear that my son is a target. That kind of move could start a war. Then start one. Her voice was steel. You said I'm under your protection, prove it. Show me you'll actually keep us safe. Something fierce and almost proud blazed in Jiho's eyes. You're terrifying, do you know that? Good, because whoever thinks they can threaten my child needs to be terrified of me too. Jiho turned to Seok-jin. Call Dong-hyun. Arrange a meeting with Sang-woo. Tell him I have a proposition that ends this without bloodshed, but only if he agrees within 24 hours. And if he doesn't, Seok-jin asked, then we remind him why people feared my family long before he decided to play gangster. Jiho's tone left no room for doubt. Seok-jin bowed and moved to make calls. Jiho returned to Amelia, kneeling so they were eye level. You understand what you just did? He asked. You didn't just accept my world. You gave me orders within it. You asserted authority like you belong here. Maybe I do. Amelia touched his face. Maybe we both found what we didn't know we needed. I love you. The words burst out. I know it's fast and probably crazy, but I love you, Amelia. Your courage, your compassion, the way you see me as human instead of monster. Amelia's heart hammered. I love you too, she whispered. God help me, I do. He kissed her then, deep and claiming. This wasn't gentle or careful. This was two people admitting what they'd been dancing around. When they broke apart, Jiho rested his forehead against hers. I'll make this right. Sang-woo will back off. Liam will be safe. You'll be safe. I swear it. I know you will. And she did. But I'm not staying in that hotel anymore. I'm not hiding. Then where? Your place. She saw his shock. If I'm going to be in this world, I need to be all the way in. Show me where you live, Jiho. It's not a home, he warned. It's a fortress. Then I'll make it a home. She stood, pulling him up. The way you're making mine a sanctuary, we'll build something new together. Jiho stared at her like she'd performed a miracle. You're serious. Completely. Liam and I will stay at Charlotte's for a few more days while you handle Sang-woo. Then we're moving in with you. Not as guests, as family. Family. He tested the word, and something in his expression cracked. I haven't had family since my grandmother died. Well, now you have a girlfriend who's too stubborn to be scared off, and an 8-year-old who thinks you're cool. Amelia smiled. Welcome to the Johnson family, Jiho. We're small but fierce. He laughed, really laughed. When this is done, when Sang-woo is handled and you're safe, I'm taking you and Liam somewhere beautiful, and I'm going to spend every moment proving I'm worthy of what you're giving me. You already are, Amelia said simply. Over the next 3 days, Jiho's world moved with lethal efficiency. Sang-woo received an offer he couldn't refuse, lucrative territory in exchange for permanent distance from Jiho's interests, including, specifically, Amelia and Liam. The deal was struck in a neutral location, witnessed by elders who'd ensure compliance. Sang-woo got expansion, Jiho got peace. On the 4th day, Charlotte helped Amelia pack. You're really doing this? Her friend asked. I really am. Charlotte studied her face. You really love him? I really do. Then I'm happy for you, but if he ever hurts you or that baby, I know people too. Noted? Amelia laughed. Want to come to dinner next week? Only if he promises not to have anyone killed at the table. That evening, Jiho's driver picked them up. The penthouse was everything Jiho had warned. Sleek, modern, slightly cold. But Liam's eyes went huge at the floor-to-ceiling windows. Mom, this is like a superhero hideout, he breathed. Jiho grinned. Wait until you see your room. He'd prepared a space that made Liam gasp. Walls painted like space. A bed shaped like a rocket ship. Shelves stocked with books and building sets. In the corner, a top-of-the-line computer for learning coding. This is the coolest room ever! Liam threw his arms around Jiho spontaneously. Thank you! Over Liam's head, Jiho's eyes met Amelia's. The expression there, wonder and tenderness and something like fear that he might wake up, made her throat tight. After Liam was settled, Jiho led Amelia to the master suite. He'd made changes. Fresh flowers, her favorite tea stocked, photos framed, showing the family they were becoming. I want you to feel like this is yours, he said nervously. Like you belong here. She kissed him quiet. It's perfect. You're perfect. It won't always be easy, he warned. My world will complicate yours. Probably. She wrapped her arms around his neck. But I'd rather face complicated with you than simple with anyone else. From down the hall they heard Liam's excited voice. Mr. Choi, Jiho, come see what I built. Jiho's face lit up. He called me by my name. He trusts you. Amelia took his hand. We both do. They found Liam surrounded by Lego, already constructing something elaborate. He looked up and smiled. Are we a family now? He asked with 8-year-old directness. Amelia looked at Jiho, who looked back with such open emotion it made her heart ache. Together they knelt beside Liam. Yes, Jiho said firmly. We're a family now. Good. Liam returned to his building. Families are better than being alone. Outside, Manhattan glittered in the twilight. Inside, 3 people who'd found each other against impossible odds began building a home from fortress walls and genuine love. It wouldn't always be easy, but the best things never were. 6 months later, Amelia walked through the doors of Metro General Hospital wearing scrubs that still felt surreal. Her first day of clinicals after re-enrolling in nursing school, paid for by Jiho, but earned by her own determination. Charlotte waited by the nurse's station. Ready, nurse in training? Terrified, Amelia admitted, but ready. Her phone buzzed. Jiho, you're going to be amazing. Liam and I will have dinner ready when you get home. He's making you a congratulations card. Home. The word still made her smile. The penthouse had transformed over 6 months, warmer, lived in, full of Liam's artwork and family photos. Amelia, I love you both. See you tonight. Jiho, love you more. Now go save some lives. It's what you do best. The shift was long and exhausting and everything Amelia had dreamed of. She helped an elderly woman with medication, assisted on 2 emergencies, felt her purpose solidify with every patient. When she finally made it home at 11 p.m., exhausted but exhilarated, she found Jiho and Liam both asleep on the couch. Liam was tucked under Jiho's arm, a half-finished card on the coffee table that read, Mom is a hero, in rainbow letters. Jiho's eyes opened as she approached. How was it? He whispered, careful not to wake Liam. Perfect. Hard, but perfect. He shifted to make room. She curled up on his other side, and the 3 of them stayed there, a family made from impossible choices and unwavering love. Thank you, Amelia murmured, for giving me this chance. You gave yourself this chance, Jiho corrected. I just removed the obstacles. Your courage did the rest. Outside, the city that had brought them together continued its endless rhythm. Inside, 3 people who'd been alone had found their way home. Amelia had knelt beside a dying stranger because it was the right thing to do. She'd never imagined it would lead here, to love and family, and a future that felt limitless. But looking at Jiho's face in the soft lamplight, feeling Liam's steady breathing, she knew she'd make that choice again. Every single time. Some people walked past those who needed help. Amelia had stopped, and in stopping, she'd found everything she'd been searching for.